Alrighty, I want to talk about some really simple hacks, I guess you would call them. A lot of people have started using bank line as their main cordage for their outdoor uses. Uh, I use a lot of this stuff for making trot lines or bush hooks. You can get it in different weights, different thicknesses, and different colors. Uh, Typically, what we used to use for our bush hooks was white because you would catfish at night and you could go up and down the river and have a flashlight and it would reflect and you could see them real well. But this cordage has a bunch of uses, from lashing stuff to all kinds of things. It comes in a big roll, sometimes 300 to 500 feet, and you generally don't always need that much. So here's a real simple hack. This is just a regular piece of cardboard. I cut it off of a box. Cut me two little notches in it. I cut this one kind of big where it would show up on video good. And just wrap your cordage around it like this. And when you're finished, you just pass your end underneath it and it has it pretty secure. And you can make these in any size you want. This one is a smaller one. And I wrapped it around with about 40 feet of 10-pound test monofilament fishing line. Works good for a small fishing kit. And instead of passing it under, I just took a couple of pieces of Gorilla Tape, the 1-inch thick, put it across it, and secured it with that. You can cut these to size. You can adapt them to whatever type cordage you're wanting to use. The reason I made this one so small is it fits inside this little 35 millimeter film bottle. When you seal this up, it's fairly watertight. And I've found several uses for this. Not only making a small fishing kit, but I also found out you can put about 24, 22 long rifle shells in it, and it'll keep them dry. A lot of times, particularly in the summertime, if I'm out somewhere, one of the great things about living in North Florida is we've got a lot of water to fish in. One of the drawbacks is summertime, you're going to have snakes, generally water moccasins, and usually I carry a 22 pistol with me. Sometimes something bigger, depending on what my need might be, but having another 2 dozen 22 shells, that can be quite helpful during normal trips to the woods, to the water, and in an emergency. Because even though it might be out of season, well, under the right circumstances, having an extra 2 dozen 22 shells can feed you for several days while you try to get out of a bad situation. But this is some real simple hacks and some real simple low cost things. Like I said, I made those out of just scraps of a cardboard box. I know people sell commercial winders that you can put your cordage on. Well, you know, I just figured this was a lot cheaper and I don't have to wait for an order to be delivered. The 35 millimeter film tubes here, used to everybody use 35 millimeter film and you could find them anywhere. People would discard them. Used to back in the day, you'd save these tubes because you could find a lot of uses for them. Unfortunately, with everything going to digital, I ended up having to order these off of Amazon. They ran me Yeah, $6 for 12 of them, so that makes them 50 cents a piece. Is that terribly expensive? No. Am I going to get a lot more use out of them than 50 cents? Yeah. So even though they're no longer basically free anymore, well, that's 50 cents pretty well spent. So those were just some simple hacks that will help you out and enjoy your outdoor experience a lot better later on.